My name is Alex. I'm 39 years old, and I live in a small town with my wife, Sarah, and my little daughter, Emily. We don't have a big house or a fancy car, but we have each other, and that's what matters most to me. Every morning, I wake up early, around 6 o'clock. The first thing I do is check on Emily. She usually sleeps with her small teddy bear next to her. Sometimes, when I look at her face, I just stand there for a few seconds, smiling. Her tiny hands, her soft hair, and her peaceful smile always make my heart full. Then I go to the kitchen, where my wife is making breakfast. She usually says, "Alex, hurry up, you'll be late again," and I laugh. We live a simple life. I work as a mechanic in a small garage near the main road. It's not an easy job. Every day, I fix cars, get my hands dirty, and deal with angry customers. But at the end of the day, when I come home and see Emily running to hug me, all the tiredness disappears. Emily is only 8 years old, but she is full of light. She loves to draw pictures of flowers and write small notes for me. Sometimes she puts a note in my lunchbox that says, "Daddy, don't forget to smile today." Every time I open it at work, my heart melts. She's my sunshine. We didn't have much money. Our town is small, and life is not easy. But we were happy, truly happy. We laughed together, played together, and prayed together every night before going to bed. Emily always said the same prayer: "Dear God, thank you for my mommy and daddy. Please give them happy hearts." But life can change in 1 second. One Sunday morning, Emily woke up feeling tired. She didn't want to eat her breakfast. I thought maybe she just didn't sleep well, so I said, "It's okay, sweetheart. Maybe you need some rest." But the next day, she was even weaker. Her face looked pale, and she said her legs hurt. Sarah and I got worried, so we took her to a small clinic in town. The doctor there examined her and said, "It might be a normal infection. Give her some rest and medicine." We did what he said, but after a few days, Emily didn't get better. She got worse. She started to lose weight, and one day she fainted while drawing in her room. I ran to her and caught her before she hit the ground. We rushed to the hospital. My hands were shaking as I carried her. The doctors ran some tests. I sat outside the emergency room, holding Sarah's hand. She was crying quietly, and I tried to stay strong. But my heart was beating so fast that I could hear it in my ears. After a long time, a doctor came out. His face looked serious. He asked us to come to his office. I felt something was wrong. He sat down, looked at the papers in his hand, and said softly, "Mr. and Mrs. Alex, I'm very sorry. Your daughter has leukemia." For a moment, I didn't understand what he said. I asked, "What is that?" He said, "It's a type of blood cancer." It felt like someone had hit me in the chest. My body froze. Sarah started to cry loudly, and I just sat there, unable to move. I wanted to believe it was a mistake. I wanted him to say, "I'm sorry, we made an error." But he didn't. He said Emily needed to start treatment immediately. The doctor continued, "She will need chemotherapy. It's a long and expensive process." I looked at him and asked, "How expensive?" He told me a number, and it felt impossible. It was more money than I could ever imagine earning. I felt my world collapsing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Emily was in the hospital room, connected to machines, her little body lying there so quietly. I sat beside her bed and held her hand. I whispered, "Daddy's here. You'll be fine." But deep inside, I was terrified. I didn't know how to save her. The next morning, I made a decision. I said to myself, I don't care what it takes. I'll find the money. I'll do anything for her. I started working extra hours in the garage. I fixed cars until midnight. My hands were full of cuts and oil, but I didn't stop. I sold my car. I borrowed money from friends. I even sold my old watch, the one my father gave me. Sometimes I walked home at night under the cold rain, thinking, will it be enough? Will I be able to save her? But every time I thought of giving up, I saw Emily's smile in my mind, and it gave me strength. Sarah tried to stay positive too. Every night, we prayed together. Sometimes Emily joined us and said in her soft voice, "Daddy, don't worry. God will help us." Her faith was stronger than mine. She believed that God was listening. Weeks passed. I finally managed to collect enough money to start her treatment. The doctors started chemotherapy, and I felt like maybe, just maybe, we could win this fight. I held Emily's hand and said, "We're going to make it, sweetheart. You'll get better." She smiled weakly and whispered, "I love you, Daddy." But as I looked at her small body, I couldn't stop the fear inside me. I knew the road ahead was long, painful, and uncertain. Still, I told myself, don't lose hope. You have to believe. I walked outside the hospital that night and looked up at the dark sky. I said quietly, "God, please help my little girl. I can't do this alone." At that moment, I didn't know what the future would bring, but I made a promise to myself. No matter what happens, I will fight for her. I will believe. The first few weeks of Emily's treatment gave us a little hope. She smiled at the nurses, even when they gave her painful injections. She always tried to be strong. I called her my little warrior, and she would whisper, "Daddy, I'm not scared." But the medicine was too strong for her small body. She started losing her hair, her skin became pale, and she often cried at night because of the pain. I tried to smile in front of her, but when I left the room, I cried silently in the hallway. Sarah was always by Emily's side, reading her stories and singing soft songs to help her sleep. Every morning, I brought flowers to her hospital room. Emily liked yellow flowers because she said they looked like the sun. Sometimes she smiled when she saw them and said, "Daddy, the sun is visiting me today." But even the flowers couldn't hide my fear. Deep inside, I felt something was wrong. One day, the doctor called us to his office. His face was serious. My heart started beating fast. He said gently, "Mr. and Mrs. Alex, I'm very sorry, but Emily's condition is getting worse. The treatment isn't helping anymore." I stared at him, hoping I heard wrong. "What do you mean?" I asked with a shaking voice. He looked down and said quietly, "She may have only 3 days left." 3 days. The world around me disappeared. I couldn't hear anything. My body went numb. Sarah began to scream and cry, and I just stood there, frozen. 3 days to say goodbye to my little girl. It didn't make sense. I went outside the hospital and sat on the cold ground. I looked at the sky and shouted in my heart, "Why, God? Why her? She's only 8." Tears ran down my face, and I felt completely lost. I had no power left, no answers, and no hope. That night, I sat beside Emily's bed. She was sleeping peacefully. I held her hand and prayed, not with words, but with my soul. I whispered, "God, please, if you can hear me, save her. Take my life if you must, but don't take hers." For the first time, I truly believed. I didn't ask because I wanted something. I asked because I trusted him. I let go of everything, fear, anger, and pain, and I put it all in his hands. When I opened my eyes, I felt calm. Something inside me said, "Don't be afraid." The next morning felt different. The sunlight entered the hospital room, brighter than before. Emily opened her eyes and smiled at me. It wasn't a weak smile like before. It was warm and full of life. She said, "Daddy, I feel better." At first, I thought maybe she was just trying to make me happy. But a few hours later, she asked for food, real food. For weeks, she couldn't eat anything, but now she wanted soup and bread. The nurse was surprised too. She checked Emily's temperature and heartbeat, then called the doctor. The doctor came quickly. He looked at Emily, asked her a few questions, and ran some tests. He looked confused. "This is strange," he said. "Let's wait and see." The next day, Emily was even stronger. She sat up in bed, drew pictures, and laughed with her mom. The nurses couldn't believe their eyes. They whispered things like, "This is amazing," and "She's a miracle child." After 2 more days, the doctor came into the room with some papers in his hand. His face looked pale, and his eyes were wide open. He said slowly, "Mr. and Mrs. Alex, we repeated the tests many times, and I don't understand it. There is no sign of cancer in her body." For a second, I couldn't speak. My wife covered her mouth with her hands and began to cry. I felt tears running down my face too. I looked up at the ceiling and said, "Thank you, God." The doctor continued, "Medically, this is impossible. I can't explain it. But I could. I knew exactly what had happened. It was faith. It was the power of believing in God when everything seemed lost." A few days later, Emily was strong enough to go home. When she walked out of the hospital, holding my hand, I felt like the happiest man in the world. The wind touched her short hair, and she smiled at the sky. She said, "Daddy, God heard us." That night, when she was asleep, I sat by her bed and cried again. But this time, they were tears of joy. I realized that God never left us. He was with us the whole time, even when I couldn't feel him. Now, every morning when I wake up, I say thank you. I thank God for the miracle, for my family, and for the strength he gave me. Life isn't perfect, but faith makes it beautiful. If you're listening to my story right now, remember this. No matter how dark your life feels, don't lose faith. Miracles are real. Just believe. And if this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because sometimes, your story of faith can be the light in someone else's darkness.